Hello, good morning or good afternoon as it is now, and welcome to another daily ramble here at Claret and Booze. My name's John. I've got a couple of things to talk about today. There's not a lot of news floating around. I'm going to have a little chat in regards to the old Soucek debate, Soucek versus Downs, and I'm also going to talk about a star West Ham player who could be on the verge of a move to AC Milan. That's right, AC Milan are apparently interested in signing this player. So first things first, as I said, my name is John. This is Claret and Booze. This is one of our daily rambles. Me, Nick and Gary often do these shows as well as our live shows. So if you do like what you see today, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. When you do so, you'll be notified as and when we go live or put up any new shows. So first things first then. We know at the moment West Ham technically aren't playing the prettiest of football in the main. A lot of people have a bit of a bee in their bonnet about Moyes and his style, and a lot of people have come to the end of their tether with David Moyes. I, for one, am not one of them. As you probably know, if you watch these shows regular, I'm a fan of Moyes and what he's done for the club in the last couple of seasons, whereas others, not just on this show, but others in the West Ham fan base, they've had enough of Moyes. And I do understand where they're coming from to some extent. And look, after the abuse that Vladimir Soucek got online the other day, I'm not here to attack particular players, okay? Although I am going to be a little bit critical of one of them, and that is Thomas Soucek. Now, when Soucek first came to West Ham, he was brilliant. He came out of nowhere. None of us really knew much about him, but he came in and he was fantastic. He fitted in straight away. He added something to our game. He scored goals from midfield, and we couldn't get enough of him. A lot of people say that was because we was riding on the crest of a wave. Jesse Lingard coming in helped him as well. COVID times, it was a freak season, things like that, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, there's no doubt about it that Thomas Soucek got to and came into the hearts of West Ham fans across the board very, very quickly indeed, as did Vladimir Soucek. What's happening now with Soucek is that, to me, he's not playing well. And to many others would agree he's not playing well. Moyes is consistently and persistently picking him. And this is one of the bugbears that I have had with Moyes in the past. Now, going back last season when Antonio was on a shocking run of not scoring goals. He was playing well, but not scoring. Okay. He was getting into positions, but he wasn't scoring. Antonio, amongst a lot of the fans, became a target. And I couldn't stand the abuse that I felt Antonio was getting. I understood it to some extent, but I always used to say that this guy's carried us without a striker for 2 seasons. And Moyes continuously picked him. You could say that with Antonio, Moyes didn't have any options who he could put up front. There's always something you could do, but he didn't have a ready-made replacement. Fast forward to now, and in some ways, or very much so, the same is happening to Thomas Soucek. He's getting a lot of stick from fans. He's not in form at all whatsoever, and he's totally gone off the boil. And as I said at the start of this, look, I'm not here to slag him off. I'm here to, appeal to the same-minded David Moyes, who I support, to take this guy out the firing line. The difference now with Soucek versus the Antonio situation is that, in my opinion, and many other people's opinions, we do have a ready-made option. And that option is Flynn Downs. Now, I've seen Flynn Downs up close and personal. I've seen him in the Europa League games, Conference League games, sorry. I saw him in the pre-season friendly against Reading. Now, I know that these games aren't playing Premier League teams. People will say to me, yes, but he's playing against a bunch of farmers, or he's played against a championship team. But there's no doubt in his ability. The championship, for example, is one of the toughest leagues in Europe. And it's in this country's second division, if you like. He cut his teeth in that division. And if you ask Swansea City fans, Ipswich Town fans, they'd tell you how good he is. And we've seen it ourselves in the Europa Conference League games. Okay? Flynn Downs is a ready-made replacement for Thomas Soucek. And the effect that this could have is far and wide. Now, people have questioned Rice at the start of this season. He doesn't look the same. He looks tired. He looks disinterested. But as much as we think Declan Rice is superhuman, he can't do the job of two men forever. You know, he played 68 games in the last year or something ridiculous. He's probably over 70 now. That's a lot of football. And in most of those games, with all due respect to Soucek, he's been carrying him somewhat. Soucek has had the odd good game in recent times, but in the main, Soucek's been poor. Okay? This could be affecting Rice. This could be affecting Rice's mentality. It could be affecting Rice's game. And I think it is. I don't think he can continuously do the job of two men in the centre. You know, games are won and lost in midfield, okay? And more so for us because of the way we play. We don't play possession-based football in the main, okay? In general, we are a counter-attack team. That's a whole different debate. You'd imagine now with the players we've brought in, we can start trying to play a possession-based game, okay? But we don't, and we haven't been. And the problem is with Soucek is that when he gets the ball, in my opinion, he doesn't look for the forward pass. You know, when you go from defence to attack, the transition, especially in the Premier League and in all football, but specifically in the Premier League, it has to be quick. It has to be forward thinking. And the problem is, I've noticed with Soucek is that every time he gets the ball, he's looking to go backwards or sideways. Now, I don't know when this started. I'm not sure whether his goals, when he first came to West Ham, glossed over this part of his game. But now he's not getting the goals. This is becoming more and more of an obvious problem. He doesn't demand the ball. He doesn't look like he wants the ball, okay? So the effect he's having on Rice is one effect. The second effect that he's having is the transition and the speed in which we go from defence to attack. You know, even in my son's football, even when I used to play football, transition and the speed of transition was always preached. But with Soucek, unfortunately, I think he slows us down. He's slowing down our counter-attacks and he's just not doing what he's there to do. People will say, yes, he's a stopper. I know he's a stopper, but Declan Rice is a stopper. Okay, Declan Rice is a different level of player. But the next effect that he's having on something at West Ham, the effect it could be having on Flynn Downs. Now, we know Moyes came out early on in the season and said he didn't think Flynn Downs was ready. And I respected that opinion at the time, purely for the fact that he'd only just made the step up into the Premier League and he'd only just made the step up into West Ham United and training with a better quality of player. And that's with all due respect to his previous clubs, Swansea and Ipswich. But in that training time he's now had with the team, in that training time he's now had with Moyes and Moyes' coaches and all the coaching staff, we have seen in the Conference League, I think, a player that is ready, okay? There's a player there that is almost like a mutation of Rice and Noble. Noble got a lot of stick towards the end of his career, but even at the grand old age of 34, 35, whatever he is now, he still kept the ball ticking. He still kept the ball moving. He still wanted the ball. And when you watch Flynn Downs, that's exactly what you get. You get a player that is asking for the ball. He's 23 now. I actually thought he was younger than that. I forgot how old he was. Not that he's old, but you know what I mean. He has got a lot of experience. And yes, people will say the same old thing. He ain't ready. You know, he's played in Conference League only, but he's been the standout player. So when is he going to get rewarded? And let's be honest, again, this is meant with the utmost respect for Thomas Soucek, but can he do any worse? For me, the answer is no. Flynn Downs is a West Ham fan. He knows what it is to be a West Ham fan. He knows what the club means to the fans. He knows what the club are all about. You know, he's made near on 150 first-team appearances for Ipswich, Luton and Swansea combined. For me, the boy is nothing but ready. And I'm not saying that this should mark the end of Soucek's career at West Ham. I really don't. But sometimes a change is as good as a rest. And in this case, in my opinion, Soucek needs to be taken out the firing line. The last thing I want is for Soucek to become a scapegoat, like Antonio was, like Soufal was. Moyes did the right thing with Soufal. When Dawson and Ogbono were coming back against Wolves, he took Soufal out of the team. He only brought him back in at the weekend against Southampton because of the unfortunate series of events of injuries that we once more had and the Zuma isolation, you know, whatever's wrong with him. You need to give Downs the opportunity now. Now, I'll be shocked if Downs is given the start against Liverpool. Maybe I can understand it a little bit against them because it is quite, you know, it's being thrown into the deep end. However, in my mind, if you don't give him a go, when will we ever know? You know, Downs is not Crowell. Moyes rates Downs to some extent because he wouldn't have even given him game time, full game time in the Europa League games that he's played so far. He's played full 90 minutes and he's been our best player, in my opinion. So for me, it's time for Soucek to come out the firing line, to have a rest, to get back to what he's best at, and to hopefully, you know, rejuvenate himself because he looks dishevelled. He really, really does. Downs needs to come in, and Downs needs to come in now. It will help the team transition from defence to attack a lot quicker, and it will definitely help Rice not having to continue making or doing a two-man job. And that may sound harsh on Soucek, but I think, to be honest with you, I truly think that's what's happening now. So, Moyes, it's time for Downs. Give him a go. You're not going to know if he can do it until you give him that opportunity to do it. And he can't do any worse than Soucek. Okay? So, let's not make Soucek a scapegoat. Let me know what you think. This is not an attack on Soucek. This is a defence of Soucek because I think he needs to be taken out of the team for his own good and for the fans to get off his back somewhat. Okay? That's that wrapped up, hopefully. I'm sure it will linger on, especially if he gets picked against Liverpool, Soucek, which he probably will. And secondly, I'd just like to talk about a West Ham player that's being heavily linked with AC Milan. That's right, a West Ham player being linked with AC Milan. And that player is Nikola Vlasic. Nikola Vlasic, you know, he didn't have the best of times at West Ham. Some would argue that he wasn't given the opportunity to play in his preferred role, which is through the middle. Since he's gone over on loan to Torino in Italy, he's been a revelation. So much so that AC Milan are supposedly interested in signing him. Now, he's on loan at Torino, and the loan to buy deal will probably be with Torino, and the £18 million price tag that's on his head, apparently Torino won't be looking to stump up that sort of fee. But apparently AC Milan could be looking to nip in there and make an offer in January sometime. So it could be good for Vlasic. It could be bad news for West Ham. Does he have a career at West Ham? Possibly not, especially when you see that we've brought in the likes of Paqueta. However, if he wants to come back, then, you know, he's probably got to be given an opportunity to play through the middle. Also, another little story I heard today is that apparently Klopp is again interested in Declan Rice. Now, apparently he's weighing up going in for Declan Rice or Jude Bellingham. I think of the two, he'd probably be more inclined, or it'd be easier to go after Jude Bellingham, because I think that the price tag of 150 million that Moyes discussed early on in the year for Rice will put a lot of people off. But, you know, Klopp interested in Rice. So that concludes my daily ramble. I'm sorry if I went on a bit about Soucek and Downs, but I really think it's time for Downs to come in now. But let's see what Moyes does. Now, again, if you like the show, then please hit the like button. Any comments, I'll try and reply to as many comments as I can. So don't forget, leave them in the chat below. And if you like our channel, then please subscribe. As I said at the beginning, once you subscribe, you get notified of any shows as and when we go live or record them, upload them like this. As I said, my name is John. This is Claret and Booze. Hope you like what you've seen. Come on, you Irons, and let's go to Anfield tomorrow and nick a win. Come on, you Irons!